Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. On this channel we talk about all things fandom and we talk about them in a positive way. If that's something that appeals to you, you've come to the right place. This is Saturday on this channel where we talk about things we didn't get to talk about the rest of the week, but some news has come out about the new Carrie series, including some casting. So let's jump right into it. Okay, everybody, so we have to talk about the Stephen King Carrie TV show that's happening because it is by a guy who has proven himself in the past to be able to adapt Stephen King novels pretty well, and he's done other things that have actually been pretty cool, and that is Mike Flanagan. Mike Flanagan is tackling this, so that right there is a selling point. Then you may have heard of this Carrie thing because it happens to be Stephen King's debut novel. That's right, this is the very first novel Stephen King wrote. And if you haven't read Carrie, I urge you to check it out because it is a very good read. It's a bit graphic, it's a bit insane because the story focuses on this girl that's a misfit and gets bullied and then finds out she has these powers and gets her revenge. And when she gets her revenge, it's something that, you should feel great about, but it's done in such a horrific way that the entire book and the entire movie brings you to this point where you don't know who to root for. Are you rooting for Carrie? Are you rooting for the bullies? Because it's done right here. And the movie that came out from that book, which was published in 1974, came out in 1976 and starred Sissy Spacek. And Sissy Spacek was amazing in that role, and she embodied it so well that later on they did a made-for-TV movie version of it, this sort of mini-series. And that mini-series didn't perform as well. The actress who played Carrie was good, but she didn't have the same exact vibe of Sissy Spacek. And that is who people are going to compare this to no matter what. Jump forward to you had this remake that had Chloe Grace Moretz in it. And even though it had Chloe Grace Moretz, who is arguably one of the most talented actresses, depending upon who you ask, of course, because all film and everything is subjective, but I've heard a lot of people really love her acting, and I like her in a lot of things. But when it came to Carrie, I didn't feel that she fit the bill. But that being said, the movie isn't terrible. It just, in comparison to the original movie, it's not holding up. So why is this one different? Well, Mike Flanagan, for one, being part of it, it sort of gives this series an exciting feel. It makes it something that you can look forward to. But let's get into what we know, because what we know about this series is kind of the cool thing. So we know the original film was Brian De Palma, and that was in 1976. But a sequel followed in 1999, as well as remakes in 2002 and 2013. Now, Mike Flanagan is adapting this into a television show over at Amazon. It was given the green light, and the latest news confirms that we have got some casting for this. And that casting is Summer H. Howe as Carrie and Sienna Agadon as Sue Snell. Now, I'm sorry if I mispronounced Sienna's last name, but I probably did. However, this is really exciting news because Summer H. Howe, if you didn't know, has already made a name for herself in the horror community. She is the one who played the young girl in The Curse of Chucky. She played Alice in Curse of Chucky. She was able to bring something to that role that I think a lot of people liked, but she was also very young. And now that same actress is 20 years old. So she's grown up a lot. But can she pull this role off? Because being a child actor is a lot different than being an actor as an adult. Now, Carrie in the movie is supposed to be a teenager, and I think she still looks young enough to pass as a teenager. However, with the movie's themes and its whole vibe, are they going to be true to this book? Because there's some pretty horrifying things when you're dealing with the book Carrie. Now, the log line for this says, a bold and timely reimagining of the story of a misfit high schooler, Carrie White, who has spent her life in seclusion with her domineering mother. After her father's sudden and untimely death, Carrie finds herself contending with an alien landscape of public high school, a bullying scandal that shatters her community, and the emergence of mysterious telekinetic powers. So, if you want to know what Mike Flanagan has done, what he has adapted from Stephen King, he has adapted Doctor Sleep. He's adapted Gerald's Game. So, two things that he adapted are pretty good indicators of how true he can be to a Stephen King novel, which is not exactly true. I mean, the Doctor Sleep movie is a far cry from the book in a lot of ways. It does take a lot of things the book embodied, but yet it also maintains that it is a direct sequel to the movie with Jack Nicholson, and that's so not what it is. In Gerald's Game, he took a lot of liberties, but in terms of what he's done, he hasn't shied away from the stuff that makes people cringe. And that's pretty true. He hasn't shied away from some of the more intense things that he puts in there. And for that reason, I'm kind of excited about the series. Now, it does seem like they're going to modernize this series a bit, and I'm okay with that as well. Modernizing this series is probably the only way to go, considering that the alternative to modernizing the series would be to set it in the 70s. And setting it in the 70s already, and I hate to say it because honestly, there's some people that wouldn't watch it if it was set in the 70s. That's just the way it is. There's a lot of people that won't watch old movies, and I feel sorry for them because if you're not watching some of these older movies and not watching things that are set in certain eras of time, you're missing out on exactly those parts of history of what made those great, because ultimately, especially when you're dealing with something like the original Carrie, which I think people should go and watch, you find that you're seeing parts of history that you're not getting to see. Little things about the clothing, about the environment, about the different things that are around during that time that a lot of movies that just take place there sort of gloss over and they miss certain things. I think that modernizing Carrie is a good way to go, but in modernizing it, they still have to make sure that they are being incredibly true to this book, because honestly, if they're not being true to the book, it's going to hurt this series. Because this TV series that they're making has got to resonate. It's got to be something that's comparable to that original Carrie movie, to the original book by Stephen King. It has to fit those bills. And unfortunately, a lot of times when you make a series based on a book, you're thinking that you're going to have more time to deal with the characters, and you really don't. And if you do a show based on a movie, you think you're going to have more time to deal with the characters, and a lot of times that can be a bad thing. So I really think that they have to tread a little bit careful here, but with Mike Flanagan behind it, I really think it's going to be good. Summer Howell looks like she could play the part of Carrie very well. I would like to see them be a lot more true to the book in terms of content, but I would also like to see them do a little bit of the stuff that the movie did that made the movie so iconic, because this has potential to be a really good series. It just depends on how they handle everything that happens in the novel and whether or not they choose to change a lot of the novel up in this effort to modernize it. I don't think that you need to modernize this plot a lot. I think that the plot is still very relevant today, and I think it would still make for a very good show. And I've said that before. I said that in the last video we talked about this in. The plot to this book is still something that's relevant today. So it just becomes a matter of whether or not you're more true to the original movie or more true to the book. Either way, this has potential to be good. That's where I'm going to leave it off to you guys. I want to know what you guys think. Are you excited about this series? Do you like Mike Flanagan's work? Are you worried? Do you think that Summer Howell is good casting for Carrie? And what do you think of the other casting choice that they've made? Do you think that that fits the bill as well? Who would you like to see cast if these two were not cast? Whatever you're thinking, I want to hear from you guys. As always, we want to hear from you guys, so make sure you're letting us know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you're sharing this video with all of your friends. They're going to want to be a part of this crazy conversation we're having. And then make sure you're hitting that like button. It's free, it helps the channel, and we really do appreciate it. Then friends, make sure that you're hitting that subscribe button. Miko says we need more subscribers and you don't want to disappoint Miko. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell while you're down there so you don't miss a single video we do. And friends, at the end of the day, I know it, you know it, and Miko knows it. Fandom is family.